On this episode of the 305 Gridiron, we are taking a look at the defensive unit. How many holes are there left to fill? What are the starters looking like? What are the reserves looking like? There's a lot to talk about in this episode, Josh. So let's just roll into that intro so we can get into it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the 305 Gridiron, your source for Miami Dolphins news and talk and chatter and just regular old gossip. On today's show, Josh, we are talking about the defense. We're doing a roster reset on the defense. Let's go take a look at what our defensive unit looks like now that free agency is virtually over. I know that we're going to get our post-June 1st wave later on, but those are usually roster fillers, not roster starters, you would hope, unless you're Chris Greer. You know,
He who shall not be named.
I think we may see a few starters again, even with this unit, though, because we're going to need people. We're just going to need bodies, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what our official roster count is at right now, but probably not where it needs to be. Well,
I mean, we have a ton of people. We signed a shitload of people. The problem is
we did.
I don't know if a lot of them are starters. If I mean, they might have
also,
to be.
And we were missing a shitload of people, so we had to sign a shitload just to get a few.
Yeah, I think that is the actual professional term for what we had to deal with. A shitload of people.
Yeah, one thing I want to talk about before we dive right into who we lost on defense, who we've added on defense, and then taking a look at the depth chart is they're staying true, John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley, to there's competition at every position.
Yeah.
And I bring this up mainly because we're not going to do a special teams episode because who cares? But there is competition at punter, kicker, and long snapper. They've literally signed 2 of each at every special teams position, staying true to the fact that there's going to be competition. So at punter, Bradley Pinion versus Seth Vernon is going to be the camp battle coming up in August, which we'll talk more about during the summer. Zane Gonzalez versus Riley Patterson, a returning name there, and Riley Patterson will be the battle for the kicker position. And then Tucker Addington versus Tabor Pepper, another returning name there, Mr. Pepper, for the long snapper position. Now, Tabor didn't play for us last year, of course, but he played for us in the past. So
was it 2019 or something like that?
Something like that a while ago. I just remember him being pretty funny in his interviews and stuff. There wasn't many of them because he's a long snapper. But
hey, right. If you don't hear their name, they're doing a good job.
Right. Yeah. We, of course, lost Joe Cardona, who was our long snapper last year.
Ironically enough, is the highest paid long snapper in the NFL.
How about that? Who did he end up signing with?
That's a good question, but they gave him like 2-point-something million, I think.
Wow. Can you imagine making 2-point-something million just to snap the ball a couple times a game?
Sign me up. I'll do it for less. I'll do it for half that. It won't be a very good snap, but you won't have to pay me much money.
They don't need to worry about that. All right, let's talk about our defense here.
Yeah.
We still don't yet know what style of defense we're going to be running. It's leaning towards a 3-4, I would say, just judged by the signings.
What does that mean for those non-football listeners?
Absolutely. There's 2 base concepts on defense. There's a 4-3 defense and a 3-4 defense. And you could go into nickel and dime, and those are other kind of base defenses. But when you're talking about what style of defense somebody plays, you're usually either talking about a 3-4 or a 4-3. A 4-3 just means you have 4 down linemen and 3 linebackers. A 3-4 just means you have 3 down linemen and 4 linebackers. The key thing to look out for, though, is that in a 3-4, your linebackers are the ones who rush the passer. In a 4-3, your defensive ends are the one who rush the passer. That's the biggest difference in terms of, positional alteration there, if you want to put it that way.
That was
so last year, in the past few years under Anthony Weaver, we ran a 3-4, so that's why you saw Chop Robinson and Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb line up at linebacker, technically. And then the defensive line was typically 3 big boys with Zach Sealer and Benito Jones and Kenneth Grant and yada, yada, yada. So typically your defensive ends in a 3-4 are more like defensive tackles.
Yeah, just that can rush.
That can rush.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can get a rush out of your 3 down linemen and a 3-4, then
absolutely
perfect. Yep. Yeah, perfect.
Yep. That was perfectly executed, sir.
Thanks.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I guess I kind of did.
No, that's okay. That's okay. And for those wondering, a nickel is just 5 defensive backs and a dime is 6 defensive backs. So explain it like I'm 5 right there for the 4 different base defensive packages. Yeah. So why do we say that it looks like we're going to be running a 3-4? Well, let's just take a look at the people that we lost first, and then we'll talk about the people that we signed. And you can paint your own picture. There's still nothing official. Nothing has been said. Jeff Hafley or the defensive coordinator, nobody has said what style of defense we're going to be running yet. We're just kind of reading between the lines here. So, Josh, we lost Bradley Chubb, who was an edge rusher, played outside linebacker for us. We lost Minkah Fitzpatrick. Well, we traded Minkah Fitzpatrick to the New York Jets for a 7th-round pick. He was a safety. Kader Kohu was somebody we expected that we might re-sign. I believe he was an undrafted free agent for us who came in and started meaningful snaps for us, played meaningful snaps for us. He left and signed with Kansas City. Rasul Douglas is unsigned right now. Played really good ball for us last year. Really the only corner who played good ball for us last year. I could definitely see him coming back, especially given his past with the Packers. And then lastly, Jack Jones. Lastly for the key losses, by the way. We're not covering every loss. But Jack Jones, the cornerback, also a free agent, also currently unsigned. I don't know that we'll see him back because I believe that Jeff Hafley expects a little more between the ears when it comes to his players on defense. And Jack is more of an instinctive player. And, I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see what we end up getting in the draft at the cornerback position to determine whether or not Jack Jones might still be in consideration.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be back regardless. He was very much and we've said it on the show, joke, kind of very tongue in cheek. He's the kind of Jameis Winston of the cornerback room where he's going to give up 30 touchdowns and he's going to get 30 interceptions. Right. And I think this defense requires a lot more discipline. And I say this defense without really knowing what style of defense we're going to play.
True.
But looking back at Half's defenses with Green Bay, he asks a lot of his cornerbacks from a intellectual standpoint, from an IQ standpoint, and that is not a slight on Jack Jones, but he's very, in my opinion, at least watching him last year, he was very limited physically in a lot of things. There was a couple games where he just tackled everyone, which was great to see. But for the majority, I thought he got kind of overwhelmed physically a little bit, and we need physical.
A lot of it, yeah, a lot of it. Let's talk about the additions to the team now. I think one thing we'll see out of this additions is that they obviously pinpointed edge rusher as a huge gaping hole, as did we.
And cornerback.
And corner. But as would anybody who just went to like Our Lads or ESPN or even the Dolphins website and looked at the depth chart and saw one player at the position. Because before we started re-signing and signing guys, we only had Chop Robinson as an edge rusher.
Terrifying.
Yeah. We signed Josh Uche. We signed David Ojabo. We signed Robert Beal Jr. And we re-signed again Cameron Good. This man knows how to make a roster.
I'll tell you what, I will die on this hill. I think he's got dirt on Stephen Ross. The man is and I say this very respectfully, he's like a cockroach. He just he's always around.
Of course, Cameron Good, very, I'm going to say decent special teamer, not very good. He's a decent special teamer, but actually played his starting role for us at the end of last year. Yeah. When Mike McDaniel and company realized the season was over and they just started rotating guys left and right.
Throwing people in.
Cameron Good got some action in there. So, I mean, these new guys like the tape enough from last year and the year before, I'm imagining, to re-sign him. So I guess that's good news for him. We'll see if he makes the team.
I'll be honest with you. It resets the clock for me on a lot of the players that were kept from the previous regime, because I actually truly believe in, and I know we Dolphins fans say this about every coach, GM hire and all this group right now, but really mainly Sully and Half have really lived up to everything that they said. They have done every single thing that they've alluded to wanting to do. Yeah. And it gives me a lot of faith in them that if they decide Cameron Good needs to be back, okay, you've reset the clock now. We're good. Let's see what you got with new coaching staff, with new coaches, with new training, and so on and so forth. So I'm excited to see. I will say this. I'm a big fan of the Josh Uche and David Ojabo pickups. I really am.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
I know they're short-term deals. I think they're only 1-year deals for both of them, mainly because we don't have any money, not until next year. But yeah, these are two guys that should contribute, and I don't necessarily know if they're both full-time starters, but they're both impact players.
No, but Uche is the guy I was calling out last year as a
Yeah.
potential snag from, I believe he was with the Patriots, ended up getting traded to the Eagles for like a 7th round pick or a
For a
7th
bag of
round pick
chips.
swap or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then Ajabo, I didn't know anything about until we signed him. This is a high upside young man, just never lived up to expectations in Baltimore. Jeff Hafley is going to try to extract the talent there, but still very young.
And the problem with Ajabo in Baltimore is he was behind a bunch of studs, and I don't think he really ever got the chance to show what he could do. So to your point, talk about a guy coming in from a very regimented defense in Baltimore that is coached extremely well with a chip on his shoulder. I'm thrilled that we were able to grab him.
Yes, 2nd round pick in 2022. He's only 25 years old, stands at 6'4", 252. And this is where I want to start the conversation as to why we think this is a 3-4. Because all of the edge rushers we signed, Josh, they're sized more like linebackers, less like defensive ends.
Yeah, true. Yep. And if you look at what Hafley ran in Green Bay, I know it was a hybrid and he did a little bit of everything. The majority of his defense, the majority of his base defense was 3-4.
Yeah. So Ajabo stands at 6'4", 252, Uche at 6'1", 226, and Robert Beal at 6'4", 250. Less than 300 pounds typically is pointing towards a linebacker. There are edge rushers who are very good who play in the 260 to 285 range, stuff like that. I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence, come to think of the Super Bowl winning, Seahawks. But if you look at the other side of the line, there's Leonard Williams, who is, I pulled him up, 310.
Yeah.
And
a lot of you might not think that 20 pounds makes a huge difference, but it does.
Yeah,
it does.
So that would leave our starting defensive line as it currently stands, and I guess we'll get into linebackers here too. Actually, let's talk linebackers too. We re-signed Willie Gay Jr. So
Big
now we
play,
can go
Willie
into
Gay. You got to say it correctly.
So big play Willie Gay re-signs, which is huge. We were both really big fans of his potential. We just never got to see him really play with Anthony Weaver. It could turn out that big play Willie Gay is trash, but at least we'll now get a chance to see because the previous regime just didn't really want to play him, which is unfortunate. So that leaves our front seven, at least our starting front seven as it currently stands. It's looking like Kenneth Grant at potentially nose tackle after the loss of Benito Jones. Zeke Biggers is a bigger body. I could see him leapfrogging that, but he was a 7th round pick, so we'll see. So I'm looking at Kenneth Grant, Zach Sealer, and Jordan Phillips on the defensive line with Josh Uche, Chop Robinson at outside linebacker, and then we still have Tyrell Dotson and Jordan Brooks in the middle.
Yeah, needs some work.
Right. Rotational pieces in that mix include Robert Beal Jr. and David Ajabo, who we just talked about at edge rusher, and then, of course, at linebacker, Willie Gay Jr., and we signed Jackson Woodard, I think, off of Houston's practice squad or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, that's the depth.
Yeah, there are some good pieces, right? I don't want you guys to watch this and say, well, these guys, like Miami has no one. These guys are down. We have really good pieces coming back from last year's team. I think our defense, let's go under the assumption this is a 4-3 just so that we're talking numbers, right? I think the down 3 linemen, all very good.
3-4,
I think that's what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah.
3-4.
Gotcha.
What did I say? 3-3?
You said 4-3.
Oh, yeah. No, I meant 3 down linemen, 4 linebackers.
You said 4-3, and then you said 3 down linemen. I'm like, Josh.
Sorry about that. Yeah. Our front 3 is insanely deep and very talented. I think Chop, TBD. I think the other side of Chop, TBD. I think Chris Brooks is phenomenal. And everything else is TBD. So we got some work to do.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I just really like it's going to be an upside year, right? It's going to be a down year because we don't have a lot of money. So I call it an upside year because we're looking at guys with upside, which I think every single one of those signings at edge rusher speaks upside, right? And cornerback too, which we'll get to in a second, but we'll see a lot of upside in the cornerback room too. But then if you're looking at, Chop is full of upside, hasn't lived up to expectations yet, but still very young, very talented, just needs to put it all together. Can Jeff Hafley and his crew get him there, right? Kenneth Grant, 13th overall pick last year. We didn't get to see a whole lot of him. Honestly, he didn't play as much as I thought he should. Yeah. we'll get to see how much more they can get out of him. Jordan Phillips and Zeke Biggers both had really good flashes last year, but again, didn't really get to see them a lot. Zach Sealer had a down year, but as many said, he was coaching 3 rookies on the defensive line the entire year, so his focus was elsewhere. And then Jordan Brooks is phenomenal in the middle. Tyrell Dodson, somebody we would rather replace. And then Willie Gay Jr. has the upside. So I think, overall, we are looking at next season as a potential down year and very much looking that way. But there are pieces to keep an eye on this unit.
And I think it's a very reasonable thing to say, right? I know there are some on the fan base, especially in our chat, that are like, it's not going to be a down year. I could see us winning 11. I'm like, all right, dude, sure. If you feel like we're going to win 11 games, good for you.
I want whatever you're doing.
Look, all joking aside, if that's how you feel, good for you. I hope you are right.
I mean, me too. I don't see it, but maybe I will.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And to really quick to your comment on Dotson, yes, I agree with you. He should not be starting. I still think he's a good kind of secondary linebacker, right? Like in a backup row, I think Dotson is amazing. He's just not a starter, in my opinion. So if we can get somebody either after the draft and once teams start cutting their rosters down to 53, maybe that kind of shakes loose from another team that we can sign on a 1-year vet deal. Hey, show us what you got. Work for your money. We're going to have like $148 million in the offseason. We'll pay if you're good, right?
Yeah.
Or if we can draft some of our favorite draft eligible linebackers, I think that'll go a long way to fix that room too.
God, man, imagine Sonny Styles falls to 11, then we don't take him. Gosh.
It'd be like Tyler Warren?
Yeah. It'd be like Tyler Warren last year. No big deal. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Dotson, I agree. Just not a starter. I mean, he's a guy you bring in when it's a definitive running situation. You need a thumper in there to take out a guy by his knees. All right. Bring in Dotson. Right? But I don't want him out there trying to go sideline to sideline or trying to cover anybody.
See, I personally think it's the opposite. If it's a pass down, Dotson is the skinny, fast guy that sucks in the hole. Chris Brooks is the hole guy. Giggity.
I don't know, man. Brooks just looks slow in attacking the hole, and I thought Dotson looked better, but neither of them were great at it, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, you don't. Of the two, I want Dotson in coverage. I'll put it that way, right?
Yeah, I think we see him differently. Either way, maybe he's not even on the team this year. Who the hell knows?
That's a good point, right?
Let's talk the backfield, defensive backfield, before we sit here and argue about linebackers who don't matter.
Before we get off the edge too quickly, I do have a question for you. So
sure.
Wherever you see us, you know what? Maybe this is for next segment for needs.
Yeah, let's talk about it in needs. Let's wrap up who else we signed.
Okay.
Take a look at the backfield here, and then we'll dive into that.
Gotcha.
All right. So we signed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 corners and 2 safeties. I don't know if any of these guys are starters, man. Maybe Darrell Baker Jr. out of Tennessee comes over from the Titans.
Yeah, I guess.
Who, by the way, just revealed their new logo and uniforms and all that stuff. They were going back to like the Houston Oilers style.
Yeah, I like the color scheme. Not a fan of the weird metal T thing.
The logo, like they lost the movement. Like the old logo had like the flame, and it was like it's a movement thing. And the new logo, yeah, I agree. I think they're going for like the oil fields. Like
that's what
it looks like an oil
pump
field.
Stacks.
Yeah, the pump stack thing. You can tell we're from the north.
Not a fan. Go team.
Anyways, Alex Austin, the cornerback out of I don't even remember. I can actually look at our website if I wanted to, by the way. The 305gridiron.com/transactions has every transaction on it. Then we signed AJ Green III. He is actually a re-sign. Marco Wilson from Arizona. Ethan Bonner, who we tendered, and then he signed the tender, so he'll be back with the Dolphins. We signed Miles Battle to a reserve futures deal. So that essentially just means we have the rights to him. He's unlikely to make the roster. At safety, we signed Lonnie Johnson Jr. and Zane Anderson from the Packers.
Yeah, Lonnie Johnson, I was actually super excited about signing.
I actually completely missed that signing, by the way, when it happened. So he comes over from the Raiders. He's 6'2", 213 pounds. He was a second-round pick. He played in 80 games for the Titans, Saints, Texans, and Raiders. All of that information on the website, by the way. I mean, he's bounced around a lot, so that tells me he's a bit of a, he's not the most consistent player out there.
No.
80 games is a lot of games.
Mm-hmm. You've
second
seen
round
a lot.
Pick, yeah, second round pick is high caliber.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, man, I do think this is a guy who's potentially playing for a starting job.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think I could see the same type of productivity that we got from our safeties last year, whether that's well, whoever they were, I'm blanking on their names, but y'all know who
it was. Minkah Fitzpatrick and Ashton Davis and
who's the other guy?
Fontu Melifonwu.
Oh yeah, Melifonwu. Yeah, I could see like a Melifonwu type season for him, which at the price tag that we got him for would be exceptional. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Now Zane Anderson is labeled as a special teams contributor, so I don't know if we will see him in the starting lineup, but I can tell you this is probably the best opportunity he's going to have to slide into a starting position.
Yeah.
Because that backfield is wide open. How about we take a look at the depth chart here for the Miami defensive backfield? So right now at starting corner position, our lads is predicting Darrell Baker Jr. will lock down one side, Storm Duck returning from injury will lock down the other side, and Jason Marshall Jr., rookie last year, 5th-round pick, who actually won the starting nickel back position last year, expected to be back as the starting nickel. At safety, they're predicting Dante Trader Jr. starts at strong safety and Lonnie Johnson Jr. starts at free safety. In terms of depth, sorry, go ahead.
No, it was interesting choices. Yeah. I probably would have put Juju Brents in.
I mean, he's obviously going to have the opportunity to fight for a starting role there. I am not as high on Juju as you are, but he did put on some good tape for the minimal time that he played for us. Speaking of Juju, he is obviously one of our depth options at corner, as is Ethan Robinson. Ethan Robinson, as we just talked about, who re-signed. Ethan Bonners, who we re-signed. Ethan Robinson is another corner who you've never heard of, and neither have I. Jason Mater, Isaiah Johnson, and Miles Battle are the remainder of our cornerback depth. Forgot Marco Wilson, Alex Austin, and AJ Green III. At safety, Zane Anderson, who we just mentioned, Jordan Colbert, and Omar Brown. So, Josh, what this says to me is that there's a lot of names on here that nobody's freaking heard of. They probably don't even have avatars in Madden at this point.
Yep.
These are not guys that we're going to need to be depending on. We need to look outside of our current organization, our current depth chart, to find more talent for these positions.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Our secondary as a whole is, dare I say, worse than last year right now. And last year was historically bad, in my opinion. And that is not a slight on the players. It's just a lot of unknown. Yeah. It's a lot of put up or shut up for some of these players, right? From they're young, they're on some of them are on their 3rd team, some of them are on their 4th team. It's time to get a big, a decent payday. If you can succeed here, you will get paid because we need you. And then we have some returning talent that I'm a real big fan of, like the Dante Trader Juniors and the Jason Marshalls. I thought for what are they, 6th and 7th round rookies last year, played out of their minds. Yeah. And I think with another year in the system, a full off season in an NFL training program with their coaches, I think they're going to do great. I really do. I think they are set up to succeed. These rooms, however, need some serious talent additions, whether that's young talent from the draft, veteran talent, once players become available, once we get a slight influx of money post June 1st with the Bradley Chubb deal that we got, or moving away from Bradley Chubb as a post June 1st cut, we get the influx of 20-ish, 21 something $1 million, something like that. So yeah, there needs to be some work, in my opinion.
Hey, I said it before, man. This if you are on this Dolphins roster in 2026, you have nothing but opportunity. If you can't win a starting job on this team, then you're probably not a starting caliber player in the NFL.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
There's a lot of names I like here that are potential.
Yeah.
But not a lot of names I like as bona fide starters.
Correct.
Actually, no names that I like as bona fide starters. And that will be a problem, especially against top tier quarterbacks.
Yeah, given I think we have like the second hardest strength of schedule or something going into next year. I know. That doesn't
as
really
it stands right now. Yeah, I like to just look at who the quarterbacks we're playing are, and even if you just look at the quarterbacks, it's a tough schedule.
Yeah, it's gonna be a problem.
It's a tough schedule. What I will say about the defensive unit before we get into needs and who we would like to see added in the draft and in free agency, still like the second round of free agency, is which we already talked about in a previous episode, by the way. So go check that out as well. I am very interested to see how Hafley coaches this group up differently than Weaver. No shade against Weaver. He's obviously a very good coach. He was up for head coaching jobs this cycle.
Last two cycles.
Last two cycles. He ends up getting the defensive coordinator job back in Baltimore, where he came from. No shade against him. But we did not see the players elevated under his system.
No.
In fact, maybe quite the opposite. It felt very complicated at times. They felt out of place all the time. It didn't always feel like players were being put in a position to succeed, which we know for a fact, because he said it 10,000 times, is exactly what Jeff Hafley does.
Yeah.
His entire scheme. This is why he doesn't have a scheme that he's attached to, because he doesn't know what players he's going to have.
Yeah.
He looks at the roster. He says, what are these guys good at? And if I have, 4 really good defensive tackles, well, then I'm going to play a 3-4 so I can have more defensive tackles out there. But if I don't have very many defensive tackles, then maybe I'll play a 4-3, get them some support, And if I don't have a lot of really good corners, I'm probably not playing a lot of nickel and a lot of dime.
Nope.
And
are they, if they're better at if we have a lot of physical, fast corners, then we're going to play man. If we don't, and we need to drop into zone, then we're going to, that's what's great about Half, man. I'll tell you what, I loved watching his, I mean, this, but those that are watching, I went back and watched a lot of his film from Green Bay as a defensive coordinator, and holy smokes, he puts his players in position to make plays and to announce themselves to the league. And the difference, to your point, that I can see between him and Weaver is that the players that played under Weaver did not seem to, I'm blanking on the word, but just they didn't seem to get better as the year went on. They seemed to what you said, regress. Yeah. Whereas Hafley, the players, they elevated their play. They got better at the little things as the season went on, the young guys. So it gives me a little bit of hope for Chop, if I'm being honest, because I want to love Chop so bad, man. I do.
Oh, man. I forgot what I was going to say after that. I had something spun up in my brain and it disappeared.
Sorry.
It disappeared. That's okay. No,
needs.
It's not your fault. Let's get into the needs. So everywhere, really, is a need, except maybe defensive tackle.
Yeah, it's the only one. Yep.
Which, we haven't re-signed Benito. We could potentially, but now looking at the roster again and seeing, I know we have Grant, Sealer, Phillips, and Biggers.
I think that's enough.
But if we're going to run a 3-4, I probably want a 5th. We did re-sign Matthew Butler, so that's
I think that's
an option.
Honestly, I don't think we see another defensive tackle signed, unless we draft one later in the round.
I'm the opposite. I could see one signed but not drafted.
Okay.
I'm
not saying we will draft one, but
I don't know if
another one is going to be
one of the 11 picks we have. 11 picks now?
Yeah.
By the way, we got it wrong in our mock draft, and then it's hilarious because I watched Frozen Fin Fan later did a live stream, and he went on a mini rant about how nobody knows how many picks we have, and I went and listened to ours. I was like, shit, we're included in that because we said the wrong amount.
What did we say? 10?
We said 8. Completely forgot about the 7th round pick that we got from Minkah, which the draft thing we were using didn't have it either, ironically enough. What was it, PFF?
Yeah, we did that, before the Waddle trade, right?
And then the Waddle trade hadn't happened yet, yeah. So we were just off by 1. But
it's not bad.
It's not bad. We're close. So let's talk edge rusher first. This is my biggest position of need, which is why I want to talk about it first. And I get to do that because I'm controlling a little levers right now.
Go right ahead.
Yeah.
Floor is yours.
So I want Chop to work, but I don't think you can go into this draft believing that he will work. I do think that edge needs to be top of mind when we're picking. And that doesn't mean we need to reach for an edge. Don't misinterpret my words. But it means that if you're at 11 and you're deciding between an edge and a wide receiver, you probably want to take the edge rusher. And I think, you and I have talked a lot about this offline. looking at the past of the Green Bay Packers, odds are they would take the edge rusher, regardless of what you and I felt about the situation. um, you know, the their their approach to the draft and to free agency and to a team building in general is from the inside out. So if our Carnell Tate pick in our last mock draft, spoiler alert, it's on the website as well. Um, I don't know how likely that is, even if Tate did drop, which seems very unlikely. But I don't even know if he was there at 11, how likely it is that we would take him.
No, you look at Green Bay, I think up until last year, the year before, they hadn't taken a first round wide receiver in like 2 decades.
Yeah.
Which,
you know what? If somebody crazy in the top 10 decides they want to take Ty Simpson, that would be great for us. So please do, because that may push down one of the edge rushers in this draft, which is something that, as a Dolphins fan, I would sign off on. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. There's a couple of them that I would like. Yeah.
But hey, I mean, if Reuben Bain gets pushed down for his small arms, I don't know how Sully feels about that, because I know they're also height, weight, speed guys too. But
yeah, Reuben Bain his film is too good to give a shit about it, how short his arms are, if I'm being honest. But imagine David Bailey or Reuben Bain is there, bro. I'm giving the ticket to our fastest person and saying, go give that to that guy up there, because those guys are going to be outstanding NFL pros.
So Arvell Reese, David Bailey, Reuben Bain are the top 3 edge rushers in this class. None are expected to be there. And there's conversations about Arvell Reese, whether or not he's an off-ball or edge rusher. I want to put that out there before I get eviscerated.
I don't know if you noticed, but I was having an internal panic attack because I filtered it to edge, and I didn't see Arvell Reese. I'm like, oh my god! Wait, no, he's a linebacker.
No, he's there. Okay. He's on linebacker. Yeah, there is amongst the draft experts in the universe out there, there is a conversation around whether or not Arvell Reese is a better fit as an edge rusher or as an off-ball linebacker, or both. I don't know. Tried Travis Hunter it, which didn't work out, by the way. I don't know if you saw Travis Hunter is going to play cornerback full time.
Yep, he'll have a small little package at wide receiver. That's it.
Yeah. Which good.
Well, let me ask you a question. Since we are both advocates for taking edge early, but you more so than me with the 11th pick.
Yes.
Given what we know about this, what little we know, but what we do know, you can go back and watch Green Bay. What we know about Haf's scheme and our current roster setup, which we've already covered, and what we have in Chop, which we are very well aware of. Speed guy, not a power guy. Are you looking, when you're looking at the draft and or future vet to sign on a 1-year vet deal later in the offseason, are you targeting power over speed or speed over power? Like, how do you, if it was your decision, how are you formulating whatever version of defense we're running? Yeah. Are you putting speed and speed with power in the middle? Or are you putting speed and power so you have options to flip flop? What are you doing?
Yeah, in an ideal world, I'll have speed and power, a mix of speed and power on the field, so that it keeps the offensive linemen on their toes. But I think in the current state of our roster, I don't think you can be that picky. I think you're at 11. If it happens to be, if you really like TJ Parker, for instance, I don't know if TJ Parker's a top 11 pick, but let's just use him as an example right now. Let's say you really like TJ Parker and he's a speed guy, but you're like, well, we already have like 3 speed guys on the roster, right? I don't think you can say, oh, even though TJ Parker's a top 10 pick, we already have 3 speed guys, so we're going to go with Keldrick Falk instead.
I mean,
and we have him as a top 15, not a top 10, right? That's what I mean. Like, their board should justify their selection, which I believe it will with them.
So if Reuben Bain and David Bailey fall, David Bailey being the power guy, Reuben Bain being more of a jack of all trades, but a faster guy.
Yeah.
You're leaning towards David Bailey over Reuben Bain in this scenario.
In that scenario, yeah. Honestly, I want the more talented guy.
I would too.
Yeah. I want the more talented guy, and I'm not a college football watcher, so I depend on guys like you and Todd McShay and Daniel Jeremiah to tell me.
Look at the bucket you just put.
Oh, I'm putting you in the bucket, buddy. But I depend on you guys to tell me who's good, and you all tell me that David Bailey is better than Reuben Bain. So,
well, some of us.
That's what I have to. I mean, you have him higher.
I do. No, that's what I mean. Yeah. I think Todd McShay has it flipped.
Well, Fuck that
It's
guy.
wrong. But that's what
Nobody likes him anyways. Okay, no, just kidding. We watch him religiously. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
All right. What do you want? What would you want, power or speed? Like, is it the same thing? Is it dependent on the roster you currently have, or do you have a preference?
Well, okay. I'm gonna speak out of both sides of my mouth here because
Here we go.
Why wouldn't we?
You're good at that.
Thanks. Just ask my wife. I'm of the school of thought right now, like this year, this off season, I don't give a shit. Give me talent. We are very talent deficient. If you can get your hands on a speed guy, get your hands on a speed guy. If you can get your hands on a power guy, get your hands on a power guy. If you can get your hands on one of each, get one of each. Like, we need edges. There is no question. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about that. If it was a better scenario, I am choosing power over speed because I like having the juxtaposition of talent and the different type of pass rush moves that you can interchange depending on who you're playing. Because if you're playing a team that has a very strong and talented right tackle that struggles with power, now you can put the power guy over there and you can put Chop Robinson, the speed, or insert other speed guy on the left side, and vice versa. Or you can line them up side by side and make it super confusing because you can do stunts and pulls and power to speed transitions and all of this other technical shit that I'm not going to bore you guys with. But it opens up a lot of variety and allows you to, which is a big thing in the NFL, which I know you're aware of, it allows you to show the same front, but do different things off of what you're showing. Yeah. Right. So you're confusing the defense or the offense because they're seeing the same thing, but you can attack it in different ways. But really at the end of the day, specifically, and especially this offseason, just get talent. Whatever it is, we'll figure that shit out later. Just get talent. And so, I mean, that's where I would go. Power, but
perfect. What do you say we go to our second big need here? And that has to be
my number one.
Has to be outside cornerback at this point.
Just cornerback.
Let's just say corner. Yeah. I know it says outside corner on the show notes, but we just went through the corners, and I would say all corners at this point.
All of them.
So you have studied the Packers defense a little bit more than I have. What style of corner? What's like size? What are we looking at from the cornerback? What can we get from the guys we already signed? And what do you expect they'll be targeting at corner?
Yeah, if you look at the trends of who we've brought in, now keep in mind, I don't think any of them are bona fide starters. We just talked about it, but they're all going to contribute in one way or the other because we really don't really have a choice. Right. But if you go back and watch and look at the prototype of cornerback that the Packers had under Half, it was someone over 6'1.5", and it was, taller, more physical wide receiver cornerbacks that could hold up against the bigger wide receivers that they faced. That is the type of player that I feel like this team is going to look at. There are obviously exceptions to the rules. One name comes to mind, and D'Angelo Pons, who is a fan favorite on this show. If I can speak for you, he is a 5'9" cornerback that plays like he's 6'8". But ideally, it's a cornerback that is 6 foot or taller, that is 190 pounds or heavier. And that is the kind of prototype that it looks like they look for. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Hafley is now out of Green Bay and he gets to, genuinely build this room from the ground up because there's not much there to begin with. And maybe he wants to go a different direction, but I really do think that he sticks with what he was successful with in Green Bay, which is why some of the top end cornerbacks are very enticing with the 11th pick.
So let's say in the draft, we were going to front load defense here. 11 and 30 are both going to be defensive picks.
Yep.
Would you rather those picks be
yes. Give it to me.
TJ Parker at 11 and Colton Hood at 30, or Colton Hood's a corner for those who are listening who don't maybe know. TJ Parker's the edge rusher at 11, cornerback Colton Hood at 30, or cornerback Mansoor Delane at 11, and edge rusher Cassius Howell at 30.
That because I think, I'm a huge fan of TJ Parker. I think he's there at 30. Okay. If I'm being honest, I do. And Cassius Howell is kind of a up and coming favorite of mine. I was not really high on him early on. I went back since, specifically because of Todd McShay. Thanks for turning me onto him and his podcast.
Ironically enough, one of your player comps for Cassius Howell is a guy we just signed.
Yeah, Josh Uche.
Yep. Yeah.
And Baron Browning. Yeah, and I really do think that, in that scenario, I'm taking the most talented player out of the 4 people that you talked about, because what did we just say? Give me talent. And right. I think of those 4 players, Mansoor Delane is the far and away most talented player, irregardless of position. And it just so happens to be a prototypical size of a position of dire need for us, which is cornerback. Mansoor Delane comes in. He's the Devon Witherspoon of this defense. So he's shutting down.
Let's make it a little harder then. And you know me, I am a big fan of Delane. If that is the pick at 11, I will be super pumped.
100%.
But in this scenario, Reuben Bain falls to us at 11.
That's the pick.
So you take Reuben Bain at 11 and still Colton Hood at 30.
Sure.
Or it's Mansoor Delane at 11 and either, let's say that it doesn't go our way at edge rusher and we end up with Romello Height at 30.
Oh, no. Reuben Bain, if Reuben Bain's there, I do not give a shit who is on the board. Now, for an absolute...
What if TJ Parker fell to 30 in that situation? And you could get Delane and Parker.
I mean, honestly, I think that's very feasible and very...
Would you still take the Bain and Hood side?
Oh, that's tough, dude.
Yeah.
All right, so my choices are... Sorry, guys. My choices are...
Edge rusher Reuben Bain Jr. falls to us at 11, which is unexpected, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you listening, we don't expect that to happen, but the NFL draft is wild, so let's say it does. And then you manage to get Colton Hood, the cornerback, at 30.
Yeah. Now, is D'Angelo Ponge off the table for this?
No, D'Angelo Ponge is still there.
All right,
I was using Hood because he's mocked to us more often.
Yeah, no, I'm done. No. I know exactly what I would do. I would run the ticket up for Reuben Bain, and I would draft D'Angelo Ponge at 30.
To tell everybody else what the flip side was Mansoor Delane, the corner, at 11, and TJ Parker falls to 30, which I don't expect to happen, honestly, but let's say it does.
Yeah, I think it's very likely. I mean, it's not likely, but it's possible.
I think edge rushers are like quarterbacks, though, and they get elevated in value when draft time comes. Like maybe Parker shouldn't be drafted until 30, but he probably will be.
I mean, I have him ranked 18th overall on my top, 150 not spoiler, but hey, little shameless plug. Go check the website. Honestly, either one of those situations, we're getting 2 starters, in my opinion. I just think Reuben Bain Jr., again, of the 4 of those players, is the best player of the 4. And where it's very close between him and Mansoor Delane, in my opinion. I know they played 2 different positions, but from a talent level and from a potential impact level, I think they are both. I mean, they're like neck and neck. I just think, to your point earlier, edge is so important for getting to the quarterback. And if we can get a player like D'Angelo Ponge or Colton Hood, or insert other cornerback that we can get at 30 or at the second round pick that we have, I think you have to take Reuben Bain, because you have to.
Bain falls to us at 11 when we are live for the first round of the NFL draft. You all may just be watching 2 blank screens because we're both going to fall to the ground out of surprise.
Well, don't forget, I sent in a couple bong videos for Reuben Bain Jr. for
and Sonny Styles.
And Sonny Styles. Yeah.
What if Sonny Styles is there?
Bro, Sonny Styles is the pick every single. Oh, I don't care who is there. If we had, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. If we had with our current team the number 1 overall pick, I'm taking Sonny Styles over anyone.
It's a bold take, Cotton. It's a bold take.
I think he impacts. He rushes like an edge. He covers like a cornerback, and he's one of the smartest linebackers to come out in the last decade, in my opinion.
Honestly, feels like
he's going to the Jets, which is going to suck. Yeah. By the way,
it honestly feels like when Myles Garrett came out, and it just feels like that type of impactful defensive player that the Raiders know they should take at 1, but they can't because they have to take the quarterback.
Yeah, they've set their entire offseason has been set up to take the quarterback. So you got to take the quarterback.
And they don't have the firepower to do what Houston did a couple years ago. Take the quarterback, trade to the next pick, and take the defensive end, which worked out well for them. I mean, CJ had a rough year last year, but
I mean,
the defensive player worked out.
I have Jeremiah Love as my number 1 overall player.
Yeah.
Right. And Arvo Reese, David Bailey, and Sonny Styles are 2, 3, and 4. And really, in the newest version of this, Arvo Reese is number 4. Sonny Styles is number 2. Sonny Styles is just a different human being.
How sad are you going to be when we inevitably don't draft D'Angelo Ponce?
I'll be sad. I'll understand it. I mean, if I'm being honest, he's 5'9", 170.
He doesn't fit the mold, but I agree with you. He's one of my favorites. He's like the Shane Falco of this draft, honestly. Just goes out there and
go watch his last 5 games in college.
Yeah,
he's arguably the best player on that team on either side of the ball.
I think he's rising a little bit. I could see him in round 1 now, whereas before we were talking about rounds 2 and 3 for him.
Yeah. I don't know if he might sneak in.
He might sneak in the back end. It depends.
Yeah. But
that sounded dirty. Don't say that. Let's talk about safety help because we need safety help here. The cornerback position, obviously, there's going to be options there at 11. There's going to be options there at 30 in the NFL draft.
We're so stupid.
The safety position is another one where there will be options. Now, again, though, Caleb Downs, who I know is no longer your safety 1, but in the last iteration that we have on the website, he still is. Caleb Downs probably
he's gone.
Less than 10% chance he'll be there at 11.
I think that's a pretty accurate statement, if I'm being honest. Probably an 8%, 9% chance he's there.
Deenaman, who is gaining a lot of steam during the draft process right now. Probably scouts have had him high up for a while, but the draft process, coaches start to see players, GMs start to dig in more. Rising very quickly. I feel like he leapfrogged Emmanuel McNeil Warren like that. And now is being mocked in the top 10 as early as the Bengals in some cases, who pick right before us. This is a big position of need for us as this corner. I don't see us taking a safety at 11, but stranger things have happened. What are your thoughts on this position?
Yeah, we need 2 of them. That's my thought. I mean, whatever combination of those 2, whether it's 2 veterans, a rookie and a veteran, or 2 rookies. I think it would be a very tough pill to swallow if we're starting 2 rookies on the back end. But this room needs an injection of talent. I can tell you this. There is one name on this list who is now my number 2, who was previously my number 1 safety. That is, to steal a phrase from Kyle Krabs, don't trade away from type player, and that's Caleb Downs. I think Dylan Deenaman, I mean, I have him as my number 1 safety now, is admittedly probably a better player, like physically, but the between the ears capabilities that Caleb Downs has is generational.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that tongue in cheek. It's generational how smart this guy is at safety. And if he's there at 11, you don't trade down. You don't really think about the pick, and you take the generationally smart safety that can fix a third of your field on defense for the next 10 years, in my opinion.
So you have him 5th overall on your board right now. I don't know where he is on your new board, but I imagine that many of the questions I asked before, the answer would be Caleb Downs over Mansoor, Delane, and Reuben Bain.
And so on and so forth. It gets real tough if him and, not that they will be, but if him and Reuben Bain are there, flip a coin. I don't know. I couldn't. That's like saying, do you prefer your? Oh, that's dirty. I can't say that. Do you prefer your left foot or your right foot? Right. I mean, that's really pick your poison. You can't make a bad decision there, in my opinion. But if Caleb Downs is there and Mansoor Delane is there and Carnell Tate is there, and give me another player. Vega Iona is there, the guard, or the top tackle is there. It's Caleb Downs all day, every day.
Yeah. A guy I, of course, like at the safety position, and I'll talk about his partner in crime as well, as Bud Clark. Made a really big impact at the Senior Bowl. He was all over the place during Senior Bowl practices. He and Kyle Lewis, who we'll talk about shortly, were nicknamed by McShay, Lewis, and Clark during the Senior Bowl because
Oh my God, I love that, dude.
they were both making the most plays. So
That's cool.
I think Bud Clark has the size that we're looking for,
Mhm.
6'2", 190. He's coming out of TCU, 4 years at college because he's a senior this year. He's expected to be drafted around round 3, whereas we have 5 picks, I think, in round 3 now. 4 picks in round 3.
Yep.
So Bud Clark is a name that I'm high on. I know you've mocked us Genesis Smith a lot, so
Mhm.
there's another name to look out for in the 3rd round. I do think that safety position is something that we will almost certainly take in the 3rd round.
Yeah, I could see us double dipping at a few positions, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But I agree, safety is probably one of them. I think cornerback's another, and edge is another. I don't think we double dip at all 3 of them, but I think 2 of the 3 you will see us take multiple players on. The irony in all of this, to your point, Bud Clark, look who I have as the player comp for him. I have 2. So just for you guys that we're not
2 Packers.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
Xavier McKinney and Darren Sharper are
Yeah.
the player comps.
So
for Bud
the
Clark.
irony has not lost on me.
Yeah.
And if we can get, imagine if we somehow get our hands on 2 of these 3 players, Caleb Downs, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, or Bud Clark. If we got 2 of them, our safety position is fit and fixed for the next decade.
Yeah. I don't know if we will. I don't know if the safety position is worth enough for them to do that, but that would certainly be interesting.
No. I could see us taking one of those 3 players, one of them mentioned, and then hitting somebody in like the 5th round as a hope and prayer.
The last need we have on here for the defense is linebacker. Of course, we mentioned before Jordan Brooks is quite a good player. Won awards last year.
Only a top 5 linebacker in the league, right?
Top 10 league in tackles or something like that. To me, he's not a top 5 linebacker in the
top
league,
10,
but
not top 5, top 10. Sorry,
maybe. I see a lot of flaws in his game, but who the hell am I? Nobody, exactly.
You are my co-host. That's who you are.
Yeah, looking at the linebacker position, though, certainly, unless Sonny Styles falls to 11, this isn't even in the conversation at 11 to take a linebacker. I think somebody that we like a lot is Jacob Rodriguez. He is expected to go in the early round 2, so we might have a chance at getting him. And then, of course, the guy I just mentioned expected to go in round 3 as well, Kyle Lewis, 6'1", 220-pound junior out of Pittsburgh. What can you tell me about just the linebacker position in general, whether it's free agents that are left on the board or draft guys that you're into?
Yeah, free agents, I think I'll pass on all of the ones that are available because I think they're going to be out of our price range. Sure. Who's going to fall through the cracks? I have no idea. Right. And I could see, look, we need depth, and we need a rangy starting linebacker to start on the other side of Brooks. I
also think the depth chart right now is set up to only bring in one other one. Because they have Dodson, Brooks, and they brought back Willie Gay Jr. So I'm thinking that in their minds, we're probably going to grab one linebacker in the draft, and that'll be our 4.
Yeah, and that's, honestly, cool. I love that. Yeah. I would rather do that than sign a veteran, if I'm being completely honest with you. I would rather spend some of that money at maybe tight end. Cool, man. If he shakes free, for example. But, Jacob Rodriguez is somebody, if you've watched the show regularly, this is somebody we're both excruciatingly high on. Kyle Lewis is a relative newcomer to our "it would be awesome if we drafted him" list.
Very new, yeah.
But somebody you've been talking about substantially for a while, somebody that I honestly neglected to even really do a deep dive on until you mentioned him like 10 times in a text chain. I was like, all right, let me go watch this film.
Well, the Senior Bowl is my first injection into the players that are coming into the draft this year is the Senior Bowl. So when, it's always the guys who perform well there and Kyle Lewis and Bud Clark were the 2 top performers. So they immediately jumped to top of mind for me.
Yeah, and if he lives up to my player comp for Kyle Lewis is Nick Bolton or Nakobe Dean, like if we can, yes, please sign me up. And another name I just want to throw out there. We don't need to talk about him. Somebody that I just finished watching film on last week or the week before is linebacker Jake Galladay out of Cincinnati, 6'4", 240.
That's a big linebacker.
Yeah, think KJ Wright, Alex Anzalone type player. he's quickly going up on my, it would be awesome if we drafted him kind of list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since we had a big linebacker like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
do you think the Jacob Rodriguez love is just because he's out of Zach Thomas's alma mater, or is it the mustache?
Well, for me, it's the mustache.
Well, yeah.
Irregardless of how talented he is, it's the mustache.
The talent doesn't matter here.
I don't care how talented he is. Does he look good tackling?
A middle linebacker out of Texas Tech, where Zach Thomas came from?
6'1", 235, right? This short, stubby white guy with a
just a little bit bigger than Zach, just a little bit.
Fucking love it, dude. And I'll tell you what, dude, he's a hell of a fucking linebacker. And he looks fucking great doing it. If you could you imagine if we snagged him and Dunker out of Iowa, the silver stallion himself with the long flowing mullet. I'll tell you what, that is an all handsome team right there.
As much as I would love to have Dunker, I just feel like the Steelers or the Raiders are going to snag him up. Typical
early second round, right?
Yeah,
because that's when he slotted to go.
Yeah,
we're not going to see him.
No,
we could. I mean, unless we want to unless we want to reach on him and at 30, we need a guard. But
hey, man. So that's our biggest needs in order on the defense: edge rusher, corner. Those are flip-floppy depending who you ask. If you ask Josh or myself, safety, and then linebacker. Regardless, the defense needs a lot of work. It needed a lot of work last year. That hasn't changed because we've lost quite a few people from the defense, and we've signed quite a few people as well. But nobody that's stands out as an immediate gap filler. Let's say.
Agreed.
I am excited about quite a few of these guys, though. I'm excited about Josh Uche. I'm excited about David Ajabo. I really want to see what Darrell Baker Jr. has left. Like you said, Lonnie Johnson Jr. comes in with some level of intrigue. 80 games started. That's a lot. To sign a guy at the contract that we signed him at, that's a lot of experience. So I am excited to see some of these pieces, but I am also desperate for an injection of talent.
Yeah, same.
All right, man. So that'll do it for today's episode. By the way, don't forget to head on over to the 305gridiron.com if you want to check out Josh's big board. We have all the transactions that the Dolphins have made on there, along with a little write-up about each one. We also have 3 mock drafts up there right now, but we haven't had a post-Jalen Waddle mock draft yet, so Josh and I are probably going to have to get on that this week at some point and get that on the website. And then we, of course, have our draft results, which is where all the draft picks we make during the draft will be added to the website as they happen. Of course, right now it's just a bunch of empty names because we haven't drafted anybody. All right, Josh, for Josh, a.k.a. Aqua Ace, over here to my left, I'm Anthony Pinzone. This has been another episode of the 305 Gridiron. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, fins up, baby.